All right, let's jump right in. Today, we're talking about a true titan of literature, a man who, for all intents and purposes, was a complete outsider in his own country. But through this just sheer force of will and intellect, he didn't just get a seat at the table, he ended up running the whole show. This is the story of Alexander Pope. But before we get into all that, let me ask you something. If you had to name the most quoted writer in the entire English language right after Shakespeare, who would pop into your head? Dickens, maybe? Jane Austen? Go on, take a guess. Believe it or not, the answer is Alexander Pope. Yeah, a poet from the 18th century. His words are so baked into our language that we quote him all the time without even knowing it. So how on earth did he manage that? Well, his story really begins with a life that was just forged in hardship. Pope's genius was absolutely forged in adversity. I mean, to really get his work, you first have to understand the incredible obstacles he was up against right from birth. He wasn't just some underdog. The entire system was stacked against him. This slide really lays it all out, doesn't it? He was born a Roman Catholic in a fiercely Protestant England. And because of that, he ran smack into a wall of anti-Catholic laws. He was banned from going to university, couldn't hold any kind of public office, and his family was even forced to move out of London. He was, legally and socially, an exile in his own country. And as if all those social barriers weren't enough, he also faced a devastating physical battle. When he was just 12, he got Pott's disease, a type of tuberculosis that attacks the spine. It completely stopped his growth. As an adult, he stood just 4 feet 6 inches tall and had a severe, painful curvature of his spine. Pope put it in this just heartbreakingly simple way: this long disease, my life. He was in constant pain, so, shut out from public life and trapped in this frail, aching body. Pope did the only thing he could. He turned inward and sharpened the one tool he had absolute command over: his mind. And he didn't just sharpen his intellect, he forged it into the perfect weapon. He didn't just learn to write poems. He took one specific form and perfected it with such incredible precision that it basically became his signature move, the heroic couplet. So what in the world is a heroic couplet? Well, the idea is simple, that it is so hard to do well. It's a pair of lines, they rhyme, and they're written in iambic pentameter. That classic heartbeat rhythm, da-dum, da-dum, da-dum. But here's the magic part. Those two lines have to form a complete, perfectly balanced, and often super witty thought, all on their own. Just look at this one. It's one of his most famous. See that perfect balance? The crisp rhyme? The whole idea is just captured right there in 2 little lines. It's concise, it's memorable, and it packs a punch. It's like a perfectly crafted tweet, just, a couple hundred years early. And with this form, Pope was about to take over the 18th century. So, armed with this weapon of wit and precision, Pope didn't just dip his toes into the culture of his time. He jumped in and basically conquered it. He used his poetry to satirize, to philosophize, and to critique the very same society that had tried to cast him out. And his range was just wow. It was incredible. In The Rape of the Lock, he used this grand, epic style to make fun of a silly little argument, brilliantly exposing how vain high society was. Then in the Dunciad, he just viciously tore apart his literary enemies. And in an essay on man, he tackled the biggest philosophical questions. He was a master of whatever he tried. And you know what? All this skill paid off, big time. With his hugely popular translations of Homer's Iliad and Odyssey, Pope did something that no one had ever done before. He became the first English writer to make a really good living just from his writing, without needing some rich person to support him. The ultimate outsider had become a self-made professional. Okay, so that's the history lesson. But why should we still care about some poet from the 1700s? What is his actual lasting legacy for us today? Well, let's circle back to that question from the beginning. This chart says it all. The only person who's given us more famous phrases in English is Shakespeare. That's it. Lines like "to err is human, to forgive divine," or "fools rush in where angels fear to tread." Yep, that's Pope. And we still use them every single day. So when you boil it down, Pope's contributions were massive. He perfected a poetic form for an entire era. He championed a whole literary movement based on reason and order. He proved that satire could be high art. And he basically created the template for the modern professional author. He completely changed the game.